Hey, what's going on everyone? I'm the Intel, and welcome back to another tier list, and today we'll be ranking the amazing crime action RPG superhero demon killing president simulator, otherwise known as Saints Row. Saints Row recently revealed its reboot, simply titled Saints Row, to mixed receptions from fans of the series. But just let's forget that for now and then head back down to 2006 and check out the very first entry, also simply titled Saints Row. Saints Row 1. It kicked the franchise off with immediate comparisons to other similar crime action games at the time, but let's also just forget about those crime action games. Some may not know, but the first Saints Row was originally being developed for the PS2, and it was originally called Bling Bling. And also back then, the Saints wore green instead of the now iconic purple. Later on in development, the team transitioned off to the Xbox 360 due to issues with the lack of power in the PS2. Saints Row 1 follows you, the player, known as the player, joining the ranks of the 3rd Street Saints in City of Stillwater. Throughout the game, you meet now iconic characters like Johnny Gat, Julius Little, Troy, Dex, Lynn, and the list goes on. Throughout the story, you meet the other gangs, the West Side Rollers, a gang of underground racing car enthusiasts, the Vice Kings, a gang who focuses on record labels and strip clubs, and finally the Lost Carnales, a drug cartel who dominate the drug running and gun running businesses. Saints Row 1 was a great game for the time. If you played it for the very first time today, I don't think you'd have high praises for the game, because it does feel a little bit out of date in some areas, but that's understandable for a game that was released in 2006. But at this time, it truly was fine and serviceable. I do think the gameplay does falter at times, as I think the game can be, kind of standard, not too much difficulty, and then the next mission, the game's difficulty can spike and be unbelievably hard. Plus, not every mission is enjoyable. Some missions are really just go here and kill things, especially early on. Story-wise, I think it was pretty good. I really like the characters like Benjamin King, Julius, Johnny Gat, and a lot more. I think the rating for this game is going to be a B tier. I don't think it's the best, but I don't think it's that bad. I just find the gameplay is a bit repetitive and uninspiring at times, but I think it's incredible for 2006. So let's move on. Welcome back to Stillwater. After the ending of Saints Row 1 and the reveal of betrayal from Troy and Julius, we find our player waking up in a prison hospital, and we escape and seek to take back Stillwater from the new gangs, who are the Ronin, a samurai-esque gang, the Brotherhood, and the Sons of Sandy. The player, for the very first time, now also has a voice, and they're no longer the player, they are now the boss. The player can now also meet new characters such as Carlos, Shondi, and Pierce. 2 of these would actually become series regulars that would be in the series all the way up to Saints Row Gat Out of Hell. The gameplay is much of the same though, with it mostly being a refined version of Saints Row 1, but within a much bigger arsenal and the ability to pick up almost any object and throw at enemies or random pedestrians, something that I'm sure added tens of extra hours of enjoyment. Being able to pick up a wheelchair and just throw at someone, or pick up like a water hydrant and throw at someone, was incredibly fun. I'm going to come out and say it right away, I love this game. I grew up playing it and I still love every part of it to this day. The story is phenomenal, the gameplay is amazing, the radio and music are great and really add to the world, and talking about that, the world is so lived in and immersive. This game only has one place, as I'd consider it the pinnacle of the series. I think it belongs in the S tier. Heading in a different direction from 2, we move to Steelport, where the Saints are now international celebrities and pop stars. A weird change from the crime lord we left in Saint 2, but we move on. The new city of Steelport as well, it's a major downgrade from the get-go. It lost a lot of the vibe and beautiful appearance that 2 had. Saints Row 2 had trailer parks, yoga park, dog walkers going around the streets, random fights would break out, a pirate ship just in the middle of town, and it had so much life. Comparing it to Steelport, well, Steelport has zombies, I guess? Yeah, the world was an immediate downgrade, but I can live with that. So what about the story and gameplay? The gameplay was a major and natural evolution of the Saints Row gameplay, and I really like it. It's definitely some of the best, if not the best, in the series right now. The story though, some call it short and don't like the tone and the increased craziness. Me though, I quite like it, I really do. I do find after about the 3rd mission in the Steelport Armory, I found the game downgrades for me. With some seriously horrible missions like Guardian Angel, which is a side activity and is one of the worst missions I've ever played in a game. It's so unbelievably boring. But by the way, I do think there is some great parts in this game. As in the second half, I find the second half to be incredible. Like, my favourite mission in the second half is Murder Brawl. That one's really, really good. I just find the first half to be a bit slow and a bit of a slog to get through. But that's just my opinion. Saints Row the Third belongs in the A tier. I do believe it's a great game, even if I have some pacing issues and issues with the main missions being side content. It's definitely still an A tier. Now, where do I begin? In Saints Row 4, the pop star celebrities of Saints Row 3 have turned into, well, the boss has turned into the President of the United States of America, and then goddamn it, aliens invade. Quite a drastic departure from Saints Row 1 and 2 to Saints Row 4. Now, this is where my rankings of the game might get a little bit controversial, but please hear me out first before you go flaming me in the comments. I believe Saints Row 4 is a phenomenal game, and I love almost every part of it. But I must say I do not believe it is a good entry into the Saints Row franchise. Comparing it to Saints Row 3, Saints Row 2, it falls way flat on its face. If you take a look at it as a standalone adventure, I loved it from start to finish, and I've completed it many, many times. I really love playing through the game, because gameplay-wise, it's the exact same as 3. Oh, but I also have to mention that you actually have superpowers in this game. Yeah, it's basically the same as 3, but with superpowers. Story-wise, it follows the President fighting off aliens in a simulation where you have superpowers. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you also become Iron Man at the very end of the game, because you get an Iron Man-esque suit. Yeah, I love this one. I'm putting it in the A tier because I love it so much. I would love to put this game in the S tier, but I just don't think it holds up well, and I don't think it compares as great as Saints Row 2. But I really do love this game. But at this point, they're basically different genres. This standalone expansion is interesting to say the least. Saints Row Gat Out of Hell follows Johnny Gat, or Kinsey, travelling to Hell after the boss has been captured by Satan. For the first time in the series, there is no customizable main character, as you're forced to play Gat or Kinsey. In Hell, Gat or Kinsey gets the power of flight, wings, and most of the same powers from 4, but with a Hell reskin, such as Super Sprint having fire instead of blue stuff. Gameplay wise, it's pretty much identical to Saints Row 4, not many major changes. Story wise, I'm not gonna lie, I hated this one. I really don't like the story at all, and this is coming from someone who loved Saints Row 4. I would call Saints Row 4's story absolutely excellent. I was really hyped when this was coming out, but man, I really did despise this game when I finished it. The gameplay just added nothing new, like the wings and flight were cool, I guess, that was about it. The story, in my opinion, is unbearable at points, as it's more of do activities to progress. There's like 5 main missions in total. The world does actually have a little bit more character than Steelport, but you're going to be flying around everywhere, so you'll likely never ever notice that there's parts of Stillwater and Steelport mixed together. You probably didn't know that if you flew around the whole game. I think this is easily the weakest and worst entry into the franchise, and I'm going to place it in the D tier. I might be being a bit too harsh on this game, but in my opinion, when I played it in 2015, I really did not like it at all. And I've tried replaying it. I tried replaying it last year, and I couldn't do it. I really could not force myself after 5 years to replay that game. So that's just my opinion. Here we are. We're at the end. From gangsters to pop stars to President of the USA to fighting Satan. This franchise has come far, but from here, it's time to wait until February 2022 to see how the Saints Row Reboot pans out. I really hope it's good, but anyway, I've been the Intel, and have a lovely day.